Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Reload Podcast. Along with Nathan Gillslider and Marshall Scott, I'm Justin Southwell. Guys, we got to talk hoops first. We just got beat by TCU in Fort Worth, unfortunately, again. We got some people that are upset about that. Some are calling for Steve Lett's job. I'm not going to go that far, but it was a disappointing loss, to say the least. Marshall, you were in attendance at that game. You gave us your 5 thoughts. Are there any afterthoughts that are lingering that you want to get out?
Not necessarily. That I think that building is cursed. I don't really know how to say it. But so last year they go down there. There's the 3/4 court pass. The guy catches it, does a 180, turns around, hits a three. It's like holy crap. There was a Boynton game, one of those Bryce Williams years, where I think Bryce hit like a late shot. They're like up with 24 seconds left. They lose that game. So yeah, they've not won in that building against TCU since Brad Underwood was the coach, which it just seems crazy. That just seems unreal, especially considering Boynton had won in, Allen Fieldhouse. It's just like, what is going on there? And it's not even like Shalimar Arena, no disrespect to the TCU faithful. That building was like 30% orange last night while I was there. So pretty brutal. They didn't score for the final. I think it was 4-12. They're up, what was 7 or 8. Didn't score for the final 4-12. And then on top of that, they, after playing such good defense all night, for the most part that night, they gave up 4 made shots in a row to close the game. And that's just a brutal way to lose. I think Let's said something along the lines of, this is the second year in a row that we're going to leave here like with a gross sickness in our stomach or something along those lines. So yeah, it was a brutal way to lose a basketball game. I think the arena is cursed, and Oklahoma State's got to get on it if they're going to, make the tournament.
I think there were some defensive improvements. Obviously, you don't get to see the end result that you'd like to be able to talk more about that. But Nathan, to the fans who were calling for Letz's job, would you talk him off the ledge? Maybe what would you say to them on that?
Yeah, I definitely a little early for that one. He's rebuilding a roster. He's got a couple of these one and done type players he's got on here, but you do see some things that you like you see, Millie, he's really starting to come on, which I was personally pretty harsh on him earlier in the season. And he's really come on and taken the place and had been that second center. So you got to give coach credit for that. You see guys like Ben Ahmed that have come through. You see the promise in him. Struggled a little bit as we got into Big 12 play. So there's stuff there that you like. I really enjoy the style that he plays. One thing, I'm not so sure how much the defense improved, or did we just slow down so much offensively in conjunction with TCU running that jump trap that really made our point guard slow down. And dude, I would like to take a look at how many possessions in that game were lower than our normal possessions per game, right? So were we actually playing better defense, or did we just not have as near as many possessions in the game?
I think they had more steals that game, right, Marshall? It was a lot more turnovers. They forced a lot more turnovers.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, whenever their defense has been good this year, for the most part, it's them forcing turnovers and then turning those turnovers into points. But they held TCU to 46% shooting. That's the second lowest percentage they've held a Big 12 team to this year. It's the first time since, and some of this might be the possessions like you mentioned, Nathan, but this is the first time since November that they've held a team under 70 points, which feels a little crazy.
Yeah, and so I think to your point, Marshall, it stings extra when you do the things and it looks like, hey, we're finally. And that would have put you back to 500 in the league after a tough Baylor loss. You get a gift in the Kansas State game, and then you give the gift right back in the TCU game. You know what I mean? And so it's like you're looking at you win that game, you're kind of off Joe Lunardi's bubble in the last 4 in, and you're looking like, hey, if we get things rolling a little bit and some guys start, finding. But, clearly Parso was not 100%. And when he's not 100%, it's very noticeable on the offensive end. And I know I said this last time, there is just some bad body language on this team. And it really bothers me when you see that and hands up, something, you don't get the ball, or somebody goes rogue on a play that that's not how it was drawn up to go. And then it's just that's just being a bad teammate. And you're not going to win consistently being a bad teammate. If a guy makes a play, he goes rogue, he's like, okay, hey, I made the shot anyways. That's not a recipe for longevity. That's just, this league is way too good to be doing stuff like that. And so, you know, you see bits and pieces, but man, you've got to close that game out. And, you know, now you're back to the drawing board, and you know, you got a tough game coming up, you know, this Saturday in GIA, and like now that becomes like you better protect, or now you're back down there in the bottom with Utah and TCU and Baylor, and you know what I mean. So it's one of those. It stings a lot because we saw this pattern so much with Coach Boynton of you get right there, and then you need to get over the hump, and then you blow that one game at home, or you get, you know, you'd have a terrible loss, and then you'd go play really, really well at Iowa State, maybe even win that game, and then you'd come home and lose. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's what probably stings the most is like this team has shown promise. We're recruiting well. You're kind of looking for that, like, let's get the snowball rolling downhill a little bit, and it's just not happening. I can only imagine how frustrating it is for the coaches, because this is, well, the Kansas State game. Yeah, this is about the second or third game. I am not in the huddle, but I am almost fairly certain that is not how they've drawn up their last second plays or their clutch time, out of timeout plays to go. And somehow Roy, neither Parsa, you know, none of these guys are touching the ball. And then it's like late in the shot clock, Cleary, you know, does a little step back mid-range jumper. And it's like, I'm fairly certain that's not what Coach drew up there. And I know he's hit some clutch buckets, so I'm not trying to pick on the kid, but it's just like there's something missing. I don't know if you guys feel the same thing watching this team. It's like it's just not. They were kind of clicking a little bit earlier in the year when things were rolling before the OU game, and you're like, oh, this team's kind of fun. They look like they're enjoying each other. And then it's kind of like, I don't know. They just don't look like they're gelling very well.
Yeah, I'll just add for the Let's haters at this point in the year, it's year 2, it's January. Year 1, I think you sort of throw in the garbage anyways, just because he got hired in April, didn't have you know, the portal had already been picked through pretty good there. So I think everybody on that aspect, I get it. OSU basketball has been down for a long time. Everybody's tired of OSU basketball continuing to let everybody down. But I still think the program in general is headed in the right direction. But man,
absolutely,
would have felt good to get that one.
Well, and to your point, Marshall, like we've heard, I can't confirm, but you know, you've heard reports of some very big donors stepping up, especially after that Texas Tech trip, and looking like, hey, if you want to compete, this is what this looks like. And so, you know, if that's truly the case, I mean, you see these offers going out to top 40 guys in the nation from Coach Lutz, and they're in the top 5. And so it's like those things don't happen if you don't have the resources and you don't have the backing. I'm not worried about that aspect of it yet. It's just, you know, people complain about GIA and the curtains, and you know, some people like to joke and do all these things.
I'm pro curtain. Until the arena's filled up, I'm pro curtain. As crazy as it sounds, I think people complaining that the curtain is down should be in the stands then. Like I don't think you can complain about basketball attendance unless you're at the game, 100%. And I totally get that the team hasn't been as up. I think this team is a little bit more exciting, that maybe people should go watch it. But
well, I mean, we're the second highest scoring team in the Big 12. I mean, yeah, they're exciting. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like that's the problem. I think we're apathetic right now, and I think it's just been so long. Honestly, I don't know, man. It's a tough one to put your thumb on, but you need to keep winning some ball games and you need to get in the tournament, right? You got to start doing these things to really start turning it. So that's unfortunate. But like you said, Marshall, it's January. There's a lot of quality basketball games coming up. You steal a couple that you shouldn't, win the ones you should, right? And you're right there. Kansas is very beatable. I'm not saying that you're going to beat them, but I'm saying they have not blown anybody out, right? This is not the typical Kansas. Yeah, they have the number 1 or number 2 pick and Darren Peterson, who's incredible to watch, but they've struggled. They struggled with Colorado last night. And we've seen, you know, TCU should have beaten that Kansas team. They choked that one off. And then, you know what I mean? So there's so much that can be had in this conference. And if you can somehow find a way to get to 500, which it seems weird to say, like you're going to the dance at 500 in the Big 12. So like that's doable. This team can do that.
OKC Dave has updated us in the PFP chamber. Go check it out if you have the opportunity to do that. We are
Dave's graphs are some of my favorite things that get posted in the chamber, if I'm honest.
Absolutely. PFP Plus Cowboy Basketball 3.0 So we've been going on this one for a while. It recycles you have to create a new thread every 10,000 comments or something like that.
It's some number of comments that I don't even know at this point. But yeah, we're on the 3.0 now.
3.0. It's good stuff. It has an updated Ken Palm scatter plot showing this year's team in context with all 30 years of the previous iterations of Cowboy basketball, including the Ken Palm system. So it has 2026. We are the worst defense in those 30 years, but the fourth best offense. So teetering on that NCAA tournament line where you can hypothetically get in. Something's got to change. The only thing that really can change is defense because our offense is good enough to get it done. In the NIL era, this is an interesting twist to some of the past 30 teams. Not everybody's got the luxury to say that they were paid to play college basketball. So, Nathan, how much do you feel like you're getting paid to play basketball? You are getting paid to play defense. And then obviously Coach Lutz, how much of that is being brought up to these players? Like, you're brought here to play basketball. Part of that is defense. We can point to charts and graphs all day long. And at the end of the day, you got to get it done.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. And because I had this thought watching this game, and Coach Lutz he puts off like this kind of like older school vibe of like how he wants to run his practices, and things are this is how you do it. This is how it's done. This is what we're doing. Some of the things where you see consistently, let's just say on our defense, right? Like you get 2 passes against our defense and like the backside rotations late, like you're getting a pretty good shot on this defense. Like that's just the way it is. Eddie Sutton, that never would have happened, right? Eddie's a legend. But Eddie would have sat you down. You would not have played if that stuff was going on. And I fully believe that like Coach Lutz, if he could do this, is exactly what he would do, right? I just do. And so to your point, Justin, like I do think that like in some of the ways that they're having to coach guys and do things, it's like, hey man, I've got this much invested in you out of our pie. Like you can't just be sitting there. You know what I mean? So you'd have to think it plays a role in it. And Coach Lutz is still evolving in how things are done. So I'd hope that it wouldn't be the determining factor because winning should always be the most important thing. But we know, just like you see in the NFL or anything else, like first round draft picks, they get the most opportunities to screw up, right? I mean, that's just the way it goes. And I would assume it's no different in college. Is like your couple highest paid players, they're going to get the most opportunities to screw up. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so that's got to be a part of it. You've seen Coach Lutz. I will give him credit, though. You've seen Coach Lutz here lately when guys have clearly not done what he's asked. They come right out and they sit for a little bit. So we'll see. I mean, it's got to continue because he made a couple remarks after the game about a few guys going rogue on a couple plays and like there's nothing you can do. It's got to be that's such a helpless feeling as a coach when you draw something up, you ask them to do something, and then they just go do the complete opposite. Like there's really nothing you can do besides take them out.
Marshall, did you have any interpretation of those quotes? Like, going rogue. I think in the chamber some were kind of interpreting that as like, Steve Lutz is not necessarily got the full control on the team that he wants, and he's throwing players under the bus. And I guess you could interpret it that way, but I kind of look at it as like these are borderline professional athletes now, and they're accountable for it. So, like, I'd appreciate him saying that and calling them out if that's the context. But curious to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it's being taken. I think it's being blown a little bit out of proportion, just in terms of the going rogue comment in particular. I do think that Lutz was probably right in telling the truth there, but we've also, I've asked Lutz about this throughout the year, just talked about how sometimes you've just got to let Anthony Roy be Anthony Roy every once in a while. So that was one of the shots that they missed late. There was plenty of opportunities that they missed offensively late. So I do think that he said it with purpose, but I just don't think it's maybe as big a deal as people are making it out to be sometimes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. If anybody got that out of what I was saying, like, I don't think it's a big deal. In fact, I think it's kind of a good thing. Like, you need to be able to say, hey, and he owned up to it, right? The first thing that he said when he got in there was like, the offense, that's on me, right? Like we got to execute, do a few things better. So by no means was he saying like, yeah, we lost because Anthony Roy didn't do what I asked him to do. He was explaining, hey, we had one of these plays drawn up. Anthony went a little bit rogue on us, and he was just going possession by possession on how things went down. So I didn't personally take it that way. In fact, like to your point, Justin, like, I mean, let's be real. Anthony Roy's on his 6th school in 6 years. Okay. And he is one of the most talented offensive players I've seen in quite some time. You don't let guys like that go if they do all the things that you're asking them to do. So there's a pattern here. And I think coach is trying to get him to buy in to doing these small things and doing the little things it takes. And I've seen, to Roy's credit, like there's been a couple of chase down blocks that he's had in the last couple of weeks that he wasn't doing in the first week of the season. There's been a couple of these backside, rotations that while we're still late, like he is getting down there. Now, is he doing consistently enough, or he's doing whatever is asked? I guess probably not, but I have seen growth there. It's just, I think coach is just voicing, I think he's just being honest, which as Marshall knows, like if you listen to his press conferences, like they are very straightforward and they are very honest. He has never shied or done anything. And he always takes the arrow first, as a good coach does. And then he's honest. So I didn't think anything of it.
One last quick thought on basketball before we move on. I'm wondering about the identity of this team. It's clearly offense. How come we're not able to just outscore opponents like we were in the non-conference? How come defense has to play such a big factor in Big 12 play? Why do you think that we can't just put up 100 points and just outscore opponents?
Because the Big 12 is very good at basketball, so they've got those dudes too. That's sort of been the issue. That punch guy was he was really taking it to Oklahoma State late. Who went off the K-State game? Had sort of a crazy last name. I don't know, but everybody's got somebody who's shooting 44% from three and on 6 attempts or something. And you're just like,
Bashir? Was it Bashir, the guy that just kept shooting threes?
Yep. So it's just the Big 12 is really good at basketball. Is unfortunately always the answer.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think and Coach Lutz has been around long enough. Like you've got to play both sides of the floor, unless you've got like 4 NBA dudes and you're averaging 115. Like 88 or 86 or whatever it is that we're averaging is like, that is very, very good. But that's not enough to go, blast some people. And it's, I don't know. It's just, the game slows down when you get into Big 12 play. You get, physical, you get worn down, more fouls. It's just, that's not a recipe to winning in March either. So I don't think that's in the cards. Got to do it both ends.
Fair enough. On some news, the Big 12 schedule, like we already had the opponents, I guess, but now the actual football schedule has formed. And we know where the home and away games line up on the schedule. So that's been announced today. And it's kind of got a lot of people talking. Like, this is a manageable schedule. The expectation, the floor, if you will, is 6 wins. And so we're going bowling. We've got some people that are thinking that the ceiling is 10, 11, 12 wins. So I was curious to know you guys' thoughts on that. I think maybe the best thing we can do is just straight up go down the schedule and predict wins and losses, because why not on January 21st, 2026?
I've got a spreadsheet ready, by the way. I'm going to keep us accountable.
Oh boy. Keep us accountable. Here we go. So we're starting off now. This is a little bit weird, but we're starting off September 5th at Tulsa. So the Eric Morris era, we're not going to be able to start off a home game. That's pretty weird in my opinion, but we're starting off at Tulsa. I think we're all going to chalk up a W on that one and get the revenge factor going.
Revenge game.
Ridiculous revenge as it may be, but we should win that game.
I agree. OSU win. Nathan, can I get a verbal confirmation?
That is and this needs to be a thrashing. Like, this needs to be a,
please.
You put your foot on the throat. Like
back to the portal house you go.
Like, exactly. Like 38 points, go jump back in your pool, Coach Lamb, and do the backstroke. Like, this needs to be an absolute thrashing, because
it's crazy to think about what I've heard different numbers for the roster last year, 13, 17, 18 million dollars. It's like if you had any sense of pride, you would have never lost the game to Tulsa last year. So the fact that this is even the discussion that we might lose to Tulsa again, no, just we just again, yeah, it needs to be a thrashing and just move on, exercise those demons. September 12th, very next week, we are at Boone Pickens Stadium versus Oregon. And we expect that game to be somewhat competitive compared to last year. So I wouldn't say that we're predicting a win here, but we're going to start off maybe 1-1, looks like.
I'm also going to give verbal combination on an L.
This is also kind of a sad thing that I'm just realizing. I think going back to the last 30, 31 years, something like that, Oklahoma State has won their home opener. So that streak is on the line. And, it only takes one time. Even the little Giants were able to beat the Cowboys. We can do this. Eric Morris, let's see how good you are preparing for Oregon. David slaying Goliath. We can do this.
Yeah, that's going to be a loss. That's going to be a loss. Yeah, that's going to be a loss. But this is it's going to be interesting to see how different the staff attacks a game.
I think they're going to go for it, because I imagine that Mestamaker, Morris, they're coming off a 12-win season. They're like, I'm not scared of Oregon. I imagine they're going to go for it.
And not only that, like we are so used to Coach Gundy in some of these bigger games, kind of like shelling it up a little bit and being like, we're not going to make the big mistake. And it's like we made every mistake you could possibly make against that Oregon team, so that one backfired a little bit. Yeah. But I do anticipate a much more competitive football game. So that'll be how I'm good judging that one. So loss.
All right. I think we're in agreement there. 1-1. So we're going to move on to the trap game, Murray State.
That'd have to be a pretty big trap.
Yeah.
Even last year's team beat an FCS team.
Yeah, we're good there.
Yep.
So 2-1. We're going to move on September 26th at West Virginia. And this is where it kind of gets interesting because West Virginia, on the one hand, they kind of can't seem to figure it out. On the other hand, I think they have one of the top portal classes and good coach and all that stuff. So being at home, like how much does that factor into it? This is kind of a toss-up in my opinion.
I think the Pokes roll. The West Virginia portal class, it's 13th in the Big 12 because I thought that too. I was like, I think I remember hearing that West Virginia's had a pretty good portal class. 13th in the Big 12 per 247. I don't, 33 commits, yada yada. So I think the Pokes roll. Oklahoma State usually plays pretty well there, if I remember correctly. So I just remember Mason Rudolph tweeting "Country Roads Take Me Home, Stillwater" or something like that, and that ticked a lot of West Virginians off. So
I think Drew Brown won in Stillwater.
In Morgantown, you mean? Yeah,
Morgantown, yeah.
I think you're right on that. So, yeah, and then they couldn't tackle Ollie in the fourth quarter there that 1 year. So, I think that's a dub for the Cowboys. Mason
Rudolph, a decade ago. Can you believe that? We're coming up on a whole decade.
I'm getting pretty old.
I feel pretty good about this one. I like Oklahoma State's chance in this game. To your point, like same coach, you still are turning over that many players. They didn't really have an identity last year. They're in a not so much different spot roster wise than we are. So like that point of like, who are we as a team? Like they don't know who they are as a team either. They lost their best running back, so their quarterback play was and so I think that's very doable. Very doable.
All right. It looks like maybe you've got a bye between West Virginia and the next game, which is versus UCF. And goodness gracious, it's about time they visit Boone Pickens Stadium and feel what that's about. But we're playing UCF at home. I got to imagine that's a win.
I'm also Team W there.
Yeah. This is our space game.
Here we go. Saddle up.
Yep. So we're all in lockstep so far.
Lost in the sauce here, fellas. We're we haven't won game in 2 years and almost 2 years.
And we've already got 4 times more wins than last year, and we're not even into November yet. So October 17th at Houston. Houston coming off a big bowl win against LSU. The recruiting is getting better. Thoughts on what we've got going on at Houston?
So this is maybe, old era thinking, but Oklahoma State always drops one random one, it feels like. We've talked on this podcast.
Pump the brakes, Marshall. This is a new era.
Yeah,
Coach
that's what I'm
Gundy
saying.
is out. This is Eric Morris we're talking about. There are no random losses under Eric Morris.
I don't know if that carries over or not, I guess is my big issue. But for the sake of, I don't want to pick Oklahoma State to go 11-1 or something like that. I'm personally going to give OSU an L traveling down to Houston here. Even that last time that 2023 team went down there, looked rough down in Houston for a little bit. I sort of think, and this is maybe the Fort Worth thing in me too, I sort of think, there's a lot of Texas players on these Oklahoma State teams. Whenever they go home and play in front of family, I've got a theory that maybe their minds are elsewhere a little bit. So, I don't know. I'm just trying to manufacture a way that I don't have Oklahoma State going in 11-1. So I'm gonna say they lose to Houston.
Yeah, I think this is one where you might get tripped up. A big fan of Coach Fritz and what he does. I believe Wegman back at quarterback for Houston. Obviously we're going to do a deeper dive later on in the year. But I just think that's going to be a tough one for basically a brand new team getting together, road Big 12, so forth and so on. So I probably got an L here too. They could also win this game.
Yeah. I'm fully on board with that. We've been on the Houston bandwagon since I guess at the start of last season, at least. We've
yeah,
for sure. All right, now this one is where it gets
hang on, Justin. I need your verbal confirmation, Justin. The spreadsheet demands it.
Yeah, I think that realistically, we're going to lose games. This one makes sense that we would probably drop that one. And hypothetically, there's no chance we're going to lose to Houston. So obviously, we're going 10+ wins, and we can't lose to Houston. So just depends on who you're asking on what day, what Justin Southwell would say to that game.
I'm asking the
right
January
now,
21st.
We'll go with a realistic, sad L.
Okay.
Which would just pain. Can't lose to Houston. Come on, guys.
Are we all gonna agree on everything here? Do you guys think?
Probably actually.
Probably.
And
we share one brain cell. It makes sense.
Thinks otherwise.
That's the scary part.
Come on. Now here we go. So prime time coming to Stillwater for America's greatest homecoming. Got Colorado Buffs, and honestly, I don't really know much about what's going on with Colorado. I know that they lost a big-time offensive lineman recruit in the portal. I think maybe Florida State or something like that. I don't know what state status of their program is, so this is up in the air. I feel like could go either way, but if you're going to ask me today for homecoming, I'm going to go with a win.
Yeah, I think this is a win too. I just think Colorado's sort of trending down right now. I saw Cody Nagel tweeted something out today. I forgot what even the stat was, but Colorado was the only team on this list of people that didn't make a coaching change this offseason. So
they lost the third most snaps in the nation, and on the list of 7 teams, they were the only one that had the same head coach.
Yeah, and when I saw OSU on that list, I was like, that's probably a good thing that OSU is on that list because last year's offense was not very good.
Yeah, but it's just, I know for all you Prime fans, you don't want to hear this, but this is kind of how Prime goes about things. So going down. I don't see Colorado doing well this year. Again, brought in a ton of dudes again. You still have their coaching staff is ridiculous. But I think Emo is going to win his first homecoming.
When you say ridiculous, you mean like in a good way because they have so much NFL talent, minds, skill set, all that stuff that can be.
No, I mean ridiculous as in they're not coaches. They're former NFL players that think they're coaches.
Okay.
So you got guys like, guys in there like, let's just say Warren Sapp, that like he says some of the most ridiculous things and runs off half his defensive line when it's like they're not Warren Sapp. Like you have to develop them. And so I don't like the way that entire program is designed. I don't know. I'm not a fan of doing that. That's a pet peeve of mine. Like just bringing in like guys that were phenomenal players, expecting them to be good coaches. And it's like, Warren Sapp was Warren Sapp. Don't
why you besmirch Eric Morris's playing career here? Jeez Louise.
No, I mean,
he maybe wasn't Warren Sapp. I'll give you that.
But yeah, exactly. But no, not a fan. OSU win.
Okay. All lockstep again.
Yep.
Now this is where it gets so sweet. Halloween at Iowa State.
That sounds spooky. What are you talking about?
I'm not scared one bit because this team is going to drop off a cliff. Everybody's gone. Coach is gone. The roster's gone. Good luck to Jimmy Rogers taking over that program. A lot of respect for that guy. But I can't wait for Iowa State to return to the bottom of the Big 12 where they belong. And we're walking out of Ames with a W.
I've also got Oklahoma State winning there, but Halloween, Iowa State, that doesn't sound again, this will be an old era versus
we've
new
got
era.
The orange and black, man. We're good.
Yeah.
Halloween is on our side.
Yeah, nothing spooky has ever happened in Ames, not one time. So but yeah, I'm also team W here just because I do think Iowa State's going to take a step back given the late coaching change especially, but it is a little spooky, I'm not going to lie.
I'm going to win here also. They lost half their roster to Penn State. And, part of what they did and what made them good at all is their process and how they went about things. And, they lost a ton of production, graduated and went to Penn State. And so, we're very fortunate at Oklahoma State that we brought in guys like we were able to with UNT, with our quarterback and running back and stuff. They don't have that. Looks like they really loaded up on the lines, which is great because they're just going to try to slow it down, do what he did at South Dakota State and then at Washington State. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't think they're going to be very good next year. So I got to win.
I think something that is important and integral to the success of Eric Morris at Oklahoma State is the history behind the hatred for Iowa State. He needs to understand the gravity of the situation that happened in 2011 so that he can continue to pour out wrath upon the Cyclones. All right, we're into November now, and this is where the rubber meets the road. November 7th at Kansas State. Initial gut reaction. What are we thinking here?
I think we're going to lose. I got a loss here because I kind of have a number in my head of what I think a good season would be. And so I got to start picking them. So I think this is probably one on the road, new coach, but they portaled very well. Obviously, the Rodney Fields revenge game.
Wendell Gregory revenge game.
Gosh, Gregory revenge game. Oliphant revenge game. So they portaled very well. They had a really good base that underperformed last year. A lot of guys came back, kept their quarterback. I think they're going to be pretty solid, and so that's a tough game. So I've got a loss here.
Yeah, I do as well. I think this will be a tough environment for Oklahoma State to go into because I think both these teams are going to be in a pretty good spot going into it. K-State, they've got Houston at home. They go to Arizona State, but if they just split those two, they're in a pretty good spot going into that Oklahoma State game. So it's November. Colin Klein's the former quarterback's the head coach. I just think that's going to be a tough place to go get a win in. So yeah, I'm also going to lean on the side of L there.
Yeah, I think that it could even be a loss just anticipating what's coming up against Texas Tech the following week. So maybe you can consider that maybe a little bit of a trap game. One at a time, guys, but still it happens. But I'm kind of in agreement with you guys. If we're going to have, going from a 1-11 team to 10-2 team, I just don't think that that's realistic. There are some losses that are going to be in the schedule incorporated in here. So Kansas State, unfortunately, makes sense. Next week versus Texas Tech. Same kind of deal. So Oregon and Texas Tech were in the top 8 of the college football playoff. Obviously, each team every year is different, but those are two games that you can probably chalk up as a loss even as early as January 21st, 2026.
I sort of think Oklahoma State. I think this has like the chance to be sort of trap gamey for Texas Tech, because I think it could be like one of those like corn dog versus that West Virginia team or that Texas team, or even like 2017 Bedlam, where it's just like, holy crap, so much is going on. Like I think this game could get a little bonkers. I hope it's a night game, but I will for now, January 21st will be saying that the Red Raiders get it done. But I think this game has the potential to be like a really fun one.
Yeah, I got lost here too. They're just a very, very good team. They just reloaded. They got a better quarterback. So yeah, I think
Texas Tech's quarterback will be the second best quarterback in the game, though.
Ooh, I mean, I don't disagree, but he's still quite a bit better than the quarterback that they had last year. So, yeah, I'm with you on that.
Talk about an easily doable schedule. Texas Tech, man, I'm looking at their schedule. I'm like, oof. They've got Houston, Colorado, Arizona State, Cincinnati, Arizona, West Virginia. Then they play Oklahoma State, Baylor, and TCU. So
they're cruising.
Yeah.
After like the middle of October, they're sort of just cruising.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can maybe trip up in Stillwater a little bit.
There you go.
Somebody's got to do it.
November 21st at Arizona State.
I think this one's a big win for the Pokes. I think Arizona State's going to take a slight step back this year, just because I think it's a little odd that they lost their quarterback, and I think Oklahoma State's just made the gains necessary to compete with Arizona State. So I think Cowboys win there.
I love what they did in the portal. Like, I thought they did a great job rebounding, but you did lose the best wide receiver in the nation, in my opinion. Like, that's going to the NFL. Not saying Coleman or those guys, but I think Jordan Tyson is awesome. Sam Levitt created a ton of magic just by doing his own thing. And so, you're relying on a quarterback that came from Kentucky that was meh. Showed a lot of promise, but he didn't really put it together at Kentucky. So you're relying a lot on that. I'm a big fan. Obviously, you know how we all feel about Arizona State's coach, but I do think Oklahoma State gets that one done.
Interesting. I just don't know enough about Arizona State.
I don't know enough about any of these teams anymore. Everybody's got a whole new roster every year.
Well, they lost Raleek. That was the Big 12 running back. Now he's at Texas. You lost Jordan Tyson. He's going to go first round at wide receiver. Sam Levitt, who's now at LSU, was going to be the highest paid portal quarterback. You can replace all you want, but that's a ton. That's a ton.
Lyric Rawls going to be a Sun Devil, by the way.
Oh.
Good for him.
Does Scatterboo have a little brother that we need to know about?
Scatterboo? I don't think so.
I'll go ahead and say win. Let's go. Let's put a W there for it. And we're finishing out the year November 28th versus Kansas. The Kansas Jayhawks. They're Kansas. Nathan.
We should have won the game last year.
Say it until you're blue, rock chalk blue in the face. It's Kansas. And I can't wait for Kansas to be back at the bottom of the Big 12 as well. What's the deal with them? But they keep hanging around. So can we beat Kansas? Kansas.
I've got it as a win. Should have beat them last year. Is Jalen Daniels finally graduating?
No.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him again.
He's the Perry Ellis of Kansas football.
Yeah. He was not good last year. But, yeah, I've got a win here. I'm like, meh, they're fine. They're not great. They're not good. They're not bad. I think we're going to go in there and do work. Come into Stillwater, clean up, go 8-4, call it good.
I've also got Oklahoma State winning here. I think we all we didn't talk about this beforehand, but I think we're all going with the exact same wins and losses here on January 21st. We need to really mix some things up going into whenever our next rendition of this is. We need to really mix some things up.
I'm sure we'll revisit in August and
we need better
have
content.
the research done and we'll come to the same conclusion. So those are the expectations.
Well, now
the standard is the standard.
Exactly. But now that we might actually get to watch practice, I might actually have some insight on maybe how I feel about this team's looking. You never know.
Raising the level of excitement.
Yeah.
Very cool. Marshall, you want to hit us with this ad read?
Yes. The Reload podcast is brought to you by Brewster Consulting Group. Do any of these sound familiar at your company? Our processes are manual and inefficient with no documentation. Our data reporting takes forever and isn't accurate. We hear all the hype about AI, but have no clue what it actually means for our business. Our projects always run over time and over budget. If so, talk with our friends at Brewster Consulting Group. They help build organizations that run like well-oiled machines with clear processes, reliable data and reporting, and technology that actually works for you. Their team of Six Sigma Black Belts, PMP certified project managers, and seasoned data engineers have delivered solutions that are built to last for local clients like the Tulsa International Airport and Medify. They've also delivered solutions for large international enterprises like DP World. Even better, Brewster was founded and is run by a proud OSU alum and season ticket holder. Learn more about them at www.brewsterconsulting.com or learn more about their methodologies by connecting with them at Brewster Consulting Group on LinkedIn or YouTube. I was like almost batting 1,000 there, and then I slipped to maybe like 92% at the end. So we'll take that. Still room for improvement, but man.
But it's probably because you're just thinking about the portal. It's always in your mind. It's still going on. And if you go to pistolsfiring.com, you can see that the portal tracker is still popping out in the orange banner up at the top there, so you can track all of what is going on. Of course, we've also talked at length about the portal guys coming in on the last couple of episodes of the Reload Pod. So if you haven't, go back and check those out. But let's get caught up with what has happened over the past week or so, with probably the biggest splash coming from a Penn State defensive line. Enai White, if I'm going to butcher his name, maybe.
I don't, it's not until I come on the podcast, I'm like, holy crap, I've never said any of these guys' names out loud before.
Yeah. You just want to spell it right, and then whenever it's time to say it, you're like, oh yeah, we have to pronounce this guy. But Penn State defensive line, do anything for you, Nathan?
Yeah, it does, because it shows that he's a former top 40 overall recruit in the nation. 6'5", 200 and I don't know, is it 80 pounds, I believe, somewhere around, give or take. I mean, anytime you can just add that level of athlete, I know his production's not been there. There's obviously reasons for that. Whatever that may be, the level of athlete that has come in and is continuing to come in. I mean, we'll talk about a couple more guys, but it's like the bar is being raised, and I'm a big fan of it. Like, even if he doesn't come in and produce maybe how you would think his talent should, like, you're still throwing a guy out there that can do things physically that you don't, you know what I mean? Like,
no, well, to your point though, Nate, it was kind of like, we didn't even know that he would commit to Oklahoma State, but you saw that the coaching staff was putting out the offer to these guys. And it was like, yes, thank you. This is all we were asking for. You don't know unless you ask.
Yeah.
And so our coaching staff is finally doing the asking, which is beautiful.
I've been, not to move too quickly off of Mr. and I don't know how to say his first name, Mr. White. But I think, I think this is true for Nathan as well. Really stoked about Dominic Macon, the Washington transfer defensive tackle. Was a freshman, hasn't really played a ton, but looks like just sort of an athletic anomaly. Yeah, state champion wrestler in the state of Oregon. Love that. Everybody loves that. Mike Gundy loved that. So
yeah,
I think that one has some people maybe unreasonably excited, given that he hasn't really done a ton on the football field yet. But looks like a really good player.
Man, he looks like Goliath. His size of his arms are outrageous. 6'3", 310-pound freshman, a state champion heavyweight wrestler. I mean, you're speaking to Oklahoma State fans' hearts right there. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't get much better than that. But again, this is another guy that you're taking upside chances on. Like, hey, if he hits, you've got yourself an unbelievable run stuffer that we haven't had around Oklahoma State in quite some time. And if not, you still have a freak of an athlete that maybe he pops and he's able to come in and do these things, or you know what I mean? So it's like, it's just another chance of like, hey, I'm bringing up the athletic floor of this team and then seeing what we can do. But it's an exciting one because he was a late bloomer. He goes to from a football standpoint, and then he goes to University of Washington, and things didn't work out, and now he's here as a freshman. And we've talked about this a lot in the past. These last two guys, multiple years. Like, this is not, you're not trying to just hit lightning in a bottle, right? With with this and just see if it works. Like they're still building and still trying to get guys to keep pulling through on classes. So you love to see it.
Yeah, it's honestly all slowed down a ton right now. I think they're hovering around 100 of 105 guys. So you'd imagine that there's probably not, unless something crazy happens, probably not like another big splash yet. You'd imagine a lot of the last couple of guys are going to be more depth pieces that you're maybe taking a flyer on or something like that. So, but yeah, I think the majority of this work was done, honestly, on the Saturday of the portal opening, whenever they got Drew Mistemaker and everything sort of rolled in off of that. But yeah, it's nice from my standpoint that it's finally slowing down a little bit. Now we all have to dive into the rosters and learn all these guys' names and numbers and all that stuff.
One to probably learn is Missouri safety transfer Mose Phillips Jr., 6'2" junior, who previously played at Virginia Tech, where he had 24 appearances, recording 92 tackles and 3 pass breakups. So SEC speed, safety depth, all that good stuff. Anything you wanted to talk about on that guy?
He started at Virginia Tech in 2024. Playing time was a little more splotchy at Missouri this year. Missouri's are, obviously a really good team. So I think it's another, guy with experience. Is he a depth piece? Is he a guy that, is competing for a starting spot? I'm not 100% sure because the whole team is new, but I think that's another fine body to get in there. Any guy that was starting at a Power 5 level, probably good to just at least have in the room.
Yeah, I mean, competition breeds success, right? So anytime you get these guys that are coming in here that maybe looking like, hey, I didn't get the playing time, I've got this, like, all you're doing is you're giving them an opportunity. And this is one of those guys. You're bringing him in here. He's played at Tech, didn't play very much at Missouri. He thinks he should be getting more. Hey, there's literally no spots. There's 2 spots. There's about 2 spots, I'm pretty sure. I know Hawkins and I know Mestemaker are going to play. Outside of that, like, go compete. You know what I mean?
No love for Grant Jordan. That's the UMass transfer quarterback for everybody.
Sorry, bud. I think it was pretty well spelled out when you came here. But no, I love it. I think you get a guy that's got experience in 2 different conferences, a lot of snaps. So come in and compete, man. Like, let's go spot the ball, and let's see what happens.
Cornerback Trudell Berry from Vandy, another SEC guy coming in.
This is how crazy the portal's been, is that I wrote the Berry piece that is on our website, and I don't remember writing it at all. I'm sort of like, wait, who is this guy again? So yeah, that's sort of what the portal has done to me over the last month.
It makes sense.
That's fair.
And are we missing anybody else? I know that there was a guy that looked like somebody that you would build in Madden. You put him at like 7 foot and then make him muscled out of his mind.
Are you talking about Macon?
No. This is who's the guy? Morgan McFall?
Oh, that's the tight end from
tight end.
VMI.
The tight end from VMI. There you go.
Holy Mother Mary and Joseph, is he yoked?
Yeah, that one feels like one of those guys that in the Cowboy back days, you're like, that guy is definitely just going to block everybody and maybe not even run a route while he's here. Maybe, again, new era, but
I finally found your comment. It's like, this is what I want my fullback / tight end / running back to look like.
Yeah, this guy, his legs are massive.
Tree trunks.
He is huge, man. Yeah, big dude. Obviously smart, came from VMI. But no, again, you're adding depth here to the tight end position, and to Marshall's point, like, we already know we have at least 1 or 2 pass catching tight ends that we brought in. This kid is built like a literal fridge, and so I think he's going to be very run game focused on 2 tight end, 3 tight end sets that we've run in the past, or Coach Morris has run in the past. So yeah, I mean, I love it. The dude is, if you have not seen what this young man looks like, he is yoked.
I had a Little Giants reference earlier. I should have kept it for now. It's like, Spike don't play with girls. He looks like Spike in college.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Anybody else that we're missing? that we want to talk on for this episode?
There's probably 2 guys that we haven't mentioned that have
Probably.
committed in the last week, but
I tried.
I don't remember them at this point. Yeah, you pulled the VMI tight end out of nowhere. We totally forgot about that.
How can you miss him?
That's a good one. No, I just think the overarching point is like when you look at it from a roster construction standpoint, you got 21 O linemen, you got 18 D line, D end, 10 linebackers, 10 cornerbacks. So very multiple. You got 11 wide receivers, 4 tight ends, 7 running backs, 4 quarterbacks, and an athlete. They're going to play somewhere. So it's very, very even scholarship, quote unquote, scholarship wise on where they're allocating it. There's nothing that like sticks out as like, this is one that they're favoring. But one thing you do see, there's a couple things you see. The O linemen that they've brought in and that they are recruiting are much bigger and longer than we have had at Oklahoma State in the past, which is very typical for like a spread offense and type because they like to have wider splits. You want guys with longer reach, a little bit bigger to be able to do that. And so you see that transition from what we're used to in the past at Oklahoma State was kind of like maybe a little bit smaller, more athletic lineman that we've tried to get in. And so this is going to be a little bit different. They're starting to transition in that way. Wide receiver, we've got a couple more, couple bigger bodied outside guys again. And it seems to me like there's like really like more defined, like your quicker, shorter, faster guys. They've got inside slot, and then you've got your really big bodied outside wide receivers. So I'm in the running backs. When you watch their film, they all have very similar running styles. Like Coach Cobb clearly has a type of running back that he likes, and that fits this system. Obviously Hawkins being the ideal fit, as we saw. So yeah, I mean, I think that's it. And then like all the cornerbacks, all the safeties, they're like 5'11" to 6'1", 185 to 200. You know what I mean? So like you're really starting to see these coaches put some things together and you got a lot of multiple. I see multiple pieces. You got guys that play linebacker, stand up the end. So you love to see it. I just now you want to see it go get out there, right? But yeah, that's kind of my takeaways from it is when you look at it as a whole, you start seeing some trends on how these coaches are wanting to put together and what they want in these type of players.
Awesome. Well, keep up with the Oklahoma State portal tracker on pistolsfiringblog.com. One other thing before we close it out for tonight. Obviously, congratulations to Indiana for winning the national championship, beating Miami at Miami in the Orange Bowl. And congratulations to Coach Mike Gundy for making an appearance in public and doing a great job on that coach's alternate cast. So was there anything that stood out to you about seeing Coach Gundy for the first time in months?
I was shocked to say that he would have kicked the field goal. Not is exactly what he would have done because he did it every time. No, I thought he did great. I thought he looked great. It's exactly what you've come to accustomed to see. And he had the nice little Arkansas waterfall going, nice, clean cut beard, very well prepared, had good stats. I didn't watch that feed the whole time, but I went back and forth quite a bit, and it was clear that he and Coach Chiswick were running that show, and by far had the most personality out of the 4. So, I mean, honestly, like I really, as somebody who just admires Coach and what he was able to do, I really hope this is the route he continues to be a part of the football landscape. His brother does, Kale does the radio here in Oklahoma City, and he brought up, he had a few offers and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, yeah, well, that's North Texas and that's Wyoming and that's Colorado State. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see Coach Gundy just keep coaching to keep coaching. I want to see him go be on the Fox desk in between, the halftime of the games. You know what I mean? Or like what Coach Peterson has done, or even like, the TNT broadcast, which I thought was awesome this year for Big 12 football games. You bring a guy like that, like Coach Gundy, into that, like I think he would be a home run. So
and who knows the Big 12 better than that guy?
Exactly. So I just hope that would be my hope after watching him and see him do it and how well he did, as he's done every other time he's done this. I hope that we get to keep seeing Coach Gundy on TV talking about football.
Yeah, I watched the coaches corner or whatever they called it in the first half, and then I switched over in the second half because there'd be times where they were like dissecting a play and a touchdown to be scored. And I'm like, okay, I gotta go watch the actual game at this point. But yeah, I thought he controlled the room. I thought he was really good at, like, there's a lot of robotic. It was sort of a robotic start from everybody, and I think he did a good job like breaking the ice basically. Probably because he'd been there before, he was a little more comfortable. So yeah, I think that if this is something he wants to get into, I think he'd kill it. Sometimes coaches go into a media role to show like, hey, I still know ball. I still know how to talk ball and stuff like so maybe that was the angle. Maybe it was like a, hey, just so you guys know, like, I'm still out here. I still understand the game of football. But yeah, I like you, Nathan. I'm hoping that this is sort of a lean more into the TV side, but we'll see. He'll do what he wants. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think he carried himself well, professional, had a great explanation, especially about RPOs. And it leads to other conversations, right? Because we're watching that. My wife is listening to it, and she's like, I still don't understand. So, of course, got to pause it. Let's break this down. Let's see where the defensive end is lining up, what his shoulders are looking like, where he's going to be going. So, yeah, all that was a lot of fun. So,
yeah, there was a moment where he was talking about how early in the game, he's got that nice accent, and he was talking like, well, that Miami quarterback, and because he legitimately doesn't know the numbers. At Oklahoma State, he used to act like he didn't know the numbers, and he'd just say like, well, 87, he's a good player. It's like, I know you know his name, like, stop it. But he legitimately didn't know these guys, so he even apologized for it. He's like, number 4, sorry, and it was pretty funny. But I was like, there you go, that's old Coach Gundy right there. Oh, Forrest, ball player, pops off the screen. No, but he was talking about Carson Beck. He's like, well, he just, he keeps stepping in the bucket. He's got to really get that front shoulder leaning forward, go right at the target. And I was like, oh, there's Coach. There he is right there, quarterback, and just loving it. So I was like, I hope he keeps doing this.
Yeah, I was impressed, though. Miami, they had a few guys that really popped off the screen. And, of course, Indiana did as well. But that's what it takes, man. You got to get some professional athletes that are playing college ball if you want to be in
the Mendoza touchdown run. The Mendoza touchdown run's going to go down. That's like going to go down in history. You see him collapse on the sideline as well?
Yeah. Insane.
They like tapped him on the helmet. You said, I was like, I don't know that guy should go back.
There needs that has to be like the entrance to their stadium, which I don't know anything about their stadium, but that has to be the statue of, like a horizontal dive, 2 hands out, right? Like it's going to be like, weird looking like brass dudes, like, and he's just going to be out there hanging. It's just like, that's got to be it. Like that's got to be. It's got to be the statue.
The initial hit where he like sort of gets spun around, it looked like his body was more than willing to go down there, but like he just like brain powered himself to just, no, I'm going to the end zone.
Yeah, man, the will of a champion, dude. That was awesome to watch, man. I completely agree. Like that's the first. I literally was like texting my friends group, and I was like, "There's a statue." Like that's it. It was awesome.
He already won the Heisman. He had another Heisman.
And I mean, whether this is accurate or not, watching Indiana do that lets 85 other fan bases in the nation finally feel like it can be done.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, whether that's fair or not, probably not. But now all of a sudden you're like, hey, man, we beat Indiana by 45 in the Insight Bowl, and they were terrible. Like, how did
they wanted nothing to do with Dez that night?
If they can do it, we can do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just your natural reaction. I mean, they were incredible, so I don't want to take anything away from them. But I mean, that's just like, I don't know. Why not Eric Morris? I don't know. Let's do it. Let's get after it.
That'd probably not. Nice.
It's probably not fair, but that's like your first thought process. Like,
sure.
Yeah, sure.
Well, great. You'd love to see it. You would love to see it. I think that's it for tonight, guys. Anything else before we wrap up?
I'm gonna go watch the Thunder play. They better win.
Jack Forrest runs Rec Shop again. There's a bunch of grown men. Can't stop them.
Not surprised. No.
He's awesome.
They wrestle at Mizzou Friday. That'll be a semi-big duel. 184-pound match going to be really big there. And also Teague Travis probably going to wrestle against Oklahoma State, transferred there sort of in the middle of the year. Imagine Jack's will also wrestle. Then they got Utah Valley at home. I'm going to try and brave the weather in if
Yeah.
I got to walk to that one, I might,
Yeah, everybody stay safe. Everybody stay safe.
Stay
So,
warm.
yeah,
The
yeah,
snow
don't get-
apocalypse.
Yeah, save some bread for me, please, and ground beef. I gotta go to the store.
Awesome. Well, you guys, thank you for joining. If you would, please like, share, subscribe to show your support. Leave a comment. Go subscribe to Pistols PFE Plus. We'll see you next time. Keep those pistols firing and remember to reload. Go Pokes.